No, like, it used to be that you would just take a thumbnail picture, and that would be, like, knowing whether you got your framing right, but now they give you an actual preview before you go live, so found that out today. That's new. Hey, y'all, it's me, Shallow360, and I really don't have a lot of K-pop discussion to have with you guys today. I kind of just wanted to talk. I like talking sometimes. Sometimes I get bored. Things happen in my life, and I just like to talk about them. So we'll do a little K-pop stuff first, and then we'll talk. So let's start with the first K-pop thing, and that is weirdos at the airport harassing Taemin. I don't know what your fucking problem is, but please don't do that. There's a video that circulated a couple days ago, I think, of Taemin and the rest of the members of SHINee arriving back into Korea from being in Madrid for, I think it was like a KCON or some type of festival. But anyway, they were in Madrid. Hey, Hunty. And when they were there, they had a great time. It's crazy. Like the stories I've heard from people while SHINee was in Madrid are the things of legend. Hey, Sarah. So, for instance, SHINee was at different cafes. Well, Minho was at different cafes. People saw him and they waited until Minho was on the plane to share photographs and talk about how they met Minho. People saw members of SHINee at the gym, at the hotel. Like, literally all over town, people were like, we have seen SHINee. And they were like, can't tell you where, can't tell you when, can't tell you what hotel, but when they leave, I'll give you the deets. And I was so proud of Shawals for like protecting SHINee in that way and making sure that one, their time in Europe wasn't ruined, but also just taking care of SHINee in the way that like they respect the fact that SHINee deserves to have privacy and that we're lucky that SHINee doesn't get scared when they see their fans in public because they know we're going to protect their privacy. So, for them to come back to South Korea, be walking through the airport, tons of fans, security, paparazzi, the usual when you're a global superstar. And to have some rabid girl break through security and hit Taemin with a letter she intended to give him, that's crazy to me. It is crazy to me that the South Korean fans would be like that. And it's crazy to me, number one, because usually the fans in other countries are like the rowdiest at concerts. Like when you look at concerts that take place in Korea compared to like when they come to the United States, when they come to the US, we are screaming at them. We're just like, oh my God! Ah! I'm not going to scream as loud as I would if I was at a concert, but let's just say there was a video of me seeing SHINee for the first time that's on this channel, and I screamed like someone had stabbed me. I screamed so loud. So usually we're known as like the rowdy ones that get the party started. For that to be happening when they're at their home turf, that's ridiculous. People really don't understand the concept that these idols don't belong to you. Have some respect, have some decency. And I tweeted about it, but I was like, I remember when Jonghyun was here, well, not here like the States, but when Jonghyun was still his corporal physical presence on Earth, he had a fan meet where he let the fans like rub his cheeks and rub his shoulders and like he let them touch him because shawls were safe for him. And I just feel really bad about the fact that that's not seeming to be the case now. And I think part of it is because SHINee is getting more young fans than they used to have because SHINee has actually become more popular since this comeback. SHINee gained 450,000 TikTok subscribers during this comeback, and they now have over 1 million TikTok subscribers. If that doesn't tell you what kind of crazy growth SHINee is experiencing, I don't know what else will. This is their best selling album. They have gained massive popularity through this album that is uncommon for second gen groups. So, yeah, SHINee's doing really, really well. And I think maybe some of these young girls, they don't get like, you need to back the hell up. Please, just give us some space. You know, Personally, I've got an anthem for SHINee. If they want to record it, back, 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 give me 50 feet. If you know Southern hip hop, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, so I want to talk about that. Also, I want to talk about this wild tweet from somebody was talking about the whole Blackpink renewing their contract thing, and apparently the word on the street is YG is devoting all of their resources to trying to get Blackpink to re-sign their contract because they literally keep the lights on at YG. And I don't know, maybe it's a little, how do you say it in German? Is it like Schadenfreude? Am I saying it right? I'm probably not. Schadenfreude, I think is how it's said. But there's a little kind of gleeful antagonism I have. Hi, Anthony. Have towards YG for the fact that Blackpink is what's keeping the lights on and they're about to lose them. And I think it comes from years of watching YG just be the most abusive, misogynistic piece of shit label out there. So, for those of us who are second gen fans who have been a part of K pop for a while, thank you for confirming, sir. You'll recall that when Big Bang was popular, YG acted like they didn't need 2NE1's little money. Like they acted like 2NE1 was just a side project that they were doing because every group needed to have a girl, every label needed to have a girl group on their label. Like they really acted like 2NE1 was not a thing. And for years, we let them act like that because Big Bang was incredibly popular. They still are, in many ways, incredibly popular. But yeah, at the time, we let YG act like if it wasn't for Big Bang, 2NE1 wouldn't have costumes to wear on stage, as if 2NE1 wasn't making massive amounts of money. Also, there were a lot of artists that were on YG that we were like, well, it doesn't matter that this artist isn't necessarily selling like 2NE1 or Big Bang because YG is about art. It just happens to be that their art is very popular for these specific artists. But over the years, YG has kept a stable of kind of like low key artists. And we've allowed YG to release these artists' music in a way similar as they've done to Big Bang, which really ended up being a detriment to these particular artists' careers because, again, we were living under the fallacy that YG was about art. And the reason why it takes so long for YG to release music is because they're perfecting everything. And they have all these other smaller people on their labels because they don't care about sales and blah, 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 blah. It's because it's about the art. Well, Big Bang is not a thing anymore, just straight up. And if you want to fight about it in the comments, you're more than welcome. But Big Bang's not a thing anymore. G Dragon has not resigned to YG. He has not signed to any YG affiliates either. Taeyong is on the Black label, which is becoming kind of the de facto YG label now. They're kind of getting away from the YG label and they're going to Black label. I think it's because the name YG has a stink on it. But that's what's going on there. 2NE1 doesn't really exist anymore. I mean, nobody from 2NE1 is signed onto the YG label anymore. Not a single one. Dara was the last holdout. So 2NE1 isn't a thing anymore. Treasure, even though Treasure sells a bunch of albums, Treasure really is kind of like a fans idol group. I don't know what term you would call that, but I feel like Treasure to me is a lot like in Hyphen, is a lot like Monster X in a way, a lot like Shiny to some extent, in that what keeps them going is that the fans are rabid for their product. Not necessarily that the rest of the general public is rabid. And I said Shiny in some way because there are a lot of people who are not Shawls who are buying Shiny stuff. There is a lot of the general public that does care about Shiny in South Korea that aren't like hardcore Shawls. But when I think about like in Hyphen's presence in Korea, when I think about Treasure's presence in Korea, they're very similar to me in that there's these wild sales numbers from the dedicated fans who will buy anything, buy in bulk, buy all the POBs, all that is happening. But that doesn't necessarily translate into huge chart toppers for these groups. And Monster X, I mentioned in the same vein because even though Monster X is very popular in South Korea and they're very popular overseas, I don't think it can be misstated enough in that a huge amount of the sales and attention that Monster X gets is not necessarily from them growing a bunch of new fans every single comeback. A lot of it is from people who've been fans from Monster X since before Wano left the group. So I say all that to say, I think YG, number one, they suffer from terrible terrible business leaders. Anybody who just got into university could tell you, when we're talking business, the key to having consistent returns is to have a diversified portfolio. When you put all your money in one basket, like all your eggs in one basket, if you put all your money into one stock or all your money into one company, you live and die by the trajectory of that particular entity. So let's say that I have all of my money invested in BlackBerry cell phones and the year is 2002. I'm doing great because everybody's got a BlackBerry. Now here we are 2023. I've lost all my money because BlackBerry is no longer a thing that you hear people talk about anymore. It's not even in the top 10 of cell phone companies anymore. That's what's happening at YG. They put all of their eggs into the Blackpink basket, and they're allowing Blackpink to subsidize the marketing budgets, the recording budgets, the production budgets for everybody else that's on all the other labels. But then they do the thing that no one with any business sense would do, and that's treat these girls like they should be grateful that they get releases and opportunities from YG. And that's evident in the things that Jenny has said. It's evident in the way that Lisa is treated. It's evident in the amount of music that these girls have released in 7 years. In 7 years, they have released, I want to say, close to 30 songs. Girl, there are Nugu groups that have released more music than Blackpink. A fact. You know, I don't want to call Laboom a Nugu group necessarily, but Laboom is one of those groups that goes up and down when it comes to the fame game. Sometimes they'll have like a really hot song and then you won't hear from them. And they'll have a really great song that comes out of nowhere and then you won't hear from them again. They have released more music than Blackpink. It's wild. It's wild. I think at this point, most everybody has released more music than them. But I say all this to say, these are the girls who are literally keeping the lights on and have been for several years because in the time that Blackpink has been formed, 2NE1 has disbanded. Big Bang has only released a couple of singles. Taeyong's solo did not really go that well. There's a lot that hasn't worked for YG as a label in a really long time. And they have kept the lights on using Blackpink. Blackpink concert tours, Blackpink merchandise, their CF deals, all of that stuff has kept things going. Their fucking CEO has been in and out the courthouse as if that's a Sunday dinner for him. He's there every week practically. All that has been going on. And Somi has come and gone. Akmu, after the brother came back from the military, they had a couple little releases here and there, but nothing regular. They didn't want to keep the sister promoted regularly. Zion T, when the fuck are you coming out with any more music? Are you upset with us like Dean is and decide you don't want to release any more music? So many people have come and gone off of the Black label. So many other Rehai, y'all squandered her just to the fucking wind. So many things have been mismanaged with YG. But YG has been able to trick us with this veneer of artistry that has led us to not question them the way that we would with an SM. What other big four? Think in your mind and think hard. What other big four could have as many labels and subsidiary labels as YG has, have as many artists as YG has, and release as few comebacks, as few albums, release as much product as YG's done? Could you imagine if SM wasn't giving Super Junior at least one opportunity a year to release something? If SM wasn't giving the girls at Red Velvet at least one opportunity a year to release something? If we were waiting years with an S between comebacks, could you imagine how wild that would be? Like everyone is clamoring for aespa to come back, but aespa has only been gone a few months. A few months. But we have accepted it as being normal that the artists on YG can wait literally years between comebacks. Now, I can hear a counter argument to this. Someone saying, well, you know what? Artists are made to do too much. And having to wait a year or 2 years for a comeback is actually pretty reasonable because people need time to recharge their batteries. So maybe we don't need to commercialize artists that way, and we need to give them time to build. Girl, first of all, no. But secondly, the reason why artists need to be allowed to release music once a year is because this is how these artists make their money. Now, most artists don't make a ton of money on releasing CDs, releasing digital singles. That's a fact. The actual sale of money doesn't make a lot of money for artists. Artists make more money on selling physical copies of albums than they do for digital, full stop. It's just a fact because digital pays percentages of pennies, whereas artists can actually make real full pennies on a physical release. However, when an artist releases music and it puts them in front of the public, that gives them the opportunity to sign marketing deals. That gives them the chance to sign a brand ambassadorship because people are paying attention to them because they're in front of us promoting this new music. And in promoting this new music, they get to do other things as well. Think about a group like 50/50. 50/50 was not having their doors knocked down to be a part of the Barbie soundtrack until after Cupid became a big hit. And all of a sudden, 50/50 has the opportunity to be on the Barbie soundtrack. And there's other people who've been giving love calls to 50/50 because of how well the music does. In the music industry in South Korea, the music is almost like a third world citizen compared to everything else. The music can be great, the music can be fun, but the music is a marketing device for marketing the idol. And we don't talk about it enough, but it needs to be said. The term idol, while a problematic term just because of everything it implies, is kind of the best term that we can use for people who do this sort of thing because they're not really selling musicianship. They're really selling a human product. They want you to be invested in that individual's music, but they also want you to watch their television show when they do their K drama, and they want you to pay for the beer when they get the beer advertising, and they want you to buy their makeup when they get a makeup line advertising, and they want you to go to the concert when they go on tour, and they also want you to buy sunglasses when they get a sunglasses sponsorship, and they want you to buy merchandise for the group and buy the t-shirts and the concert swag, and they want you to buy the albums. There are all these other products that they want you to buy that are music adjacent but aren't necessarily music. And so when we're saying, oh, we need to give the artist time to recharge and they're way too busy, someone like Mark or Haechan from the NCT universe, yeah, they need a fucking break. They need to be allowed to sit down somewhere. But Blackpink makes their money off of being public faces. And when they have gaps between their work, that's less time for their public face to be public. They need to have their face out front so that they can make this other money. Their tour is probably making them the most money they've ever seen from anything music related with YG. So I say all that to say, telling an artist that, oh, or telling the public that we shouldn't want more music from artists because we need to treat them decent. Yes, they do need to be treated decent. But artists in these labels where they don't get releases are starving artists because the release precedes everything else that they get. And that's why it's important for them to release on at least an annual basis, if nothing else. An album sells a concert. Just to be clear, in case you were wondering, an album sells a concert. So I'll take SHINee as my example again because I talk about them so much. SHINee did a set of concerts, SHINee World concerts, before the album came out. They had announced the album coming out. They announced the concert series almost exactly at the same time as saying we have a comeback coming. People who attended the concert without hearing any of the new songs first because that was their opportunity to hear the new music. And they knew that when it comes to SHINee World concerts, every time they do a SHINee World concert, the discography choices always change. They always sing most of the songs from whatever the new release is. They sing some older songs from, like title tracks of older songs. But if you want to hear B-sides from the album that's going to come out or the album that just came out, you need to go to that concert because there's a good chance that song will never be performed again. And so that's exactly what happened with Shawwalls going to Shiny World. Is they were like, this is my opportunity to be the first person to hear this song. And if they perform B-sides, they'll never be performed in concert again. So I'd like to go so I can hear it. And that's why it's important for them to have an album to promote so that when people are buying these concert tickets, they can tell themselves, okay, I plan to hear these songs because if they do a concert later on down the road, I'm not going to hear Kingdom Come again, you know? So that's the reason why the music is important. The music is super important. But then let's talk about YG and the artists who are not Blackpink, because we've talked a lot about Blackpink and how Blackpink has been a squandered opportunity for YG and why they needed to have done more with Blackpink during their original contract. But let's talk about the artists that aren't on YG. Let's talk about Somi. So Somi has recently announced that she has a comeback coming. Also, there was a picture released by YG to promote Somi's comeback, and I posted it on my Twitter account. But basically, the picture is of her kind of to the side with her arm out, and she's kind of tilted over, and her hair is going down, and like there's hair going all the way down her arm, even though like the curtain of hair stops here. It's a weird fucking photograph. If you can find it, look it up. But I'm just like, who is working the graphics department at YG? Because this picture, the editing on this is unacceptable. But I digress. Because this is what I'm thinking. Either they stretched out her arm, and so that hair that we're seeing is because they lengthened her arm to make her look skinnier, or her hair was a little bit more out, and they like tried to cut the hair off, and still left some hair hanging from her arm. It was really weird. It was really weird. Anyway, it's a black and white photograph, by the way. Well, it's not black and white. She's wearing black and the background is white. So it's kind of black and white, but it's not black and white. Anyway, let's keep going. Somi has had, I think, this is going to be, I think, her third physical release under YG. But I could be wrong. Actually, I think this may be only her second. I think Birthday was never released physically. Somi was someone, let's just go from front to back. Somi is somebody that when we first were introduced to her, we were introduced to her on 15, which was the JYP reality show where they were picking the members of Twice. Somi was an early favorite. She got a lot of very favorable camera time. We were really invested in her story as half Korean and her family and everything else. And, people wanted to see her do well, but they just decided, I guess, that she was too young to be in Twice. After that, she went on Produce and she became the number one pick for the nation for Produce. And she was in IOI, which was the first season of Produce Winners. She does IOI. People have really big hopes for Somi continuing forward because she immediately draws your eye when you see her in the concerts. Part of it is because Korean people love the look of white women, but don't necessarily want to put a white woman in a group. So a half Korean woman suits their taste just fine. They like her big eyes, they like her fair skin, they like kind of how she is white adjacent. That's just a part of social norms. Get over it. It's a thing. And Korea is a highly visual, highly looks oriented society. So it is what it is. Let's keep moving. So after IOI, there was talk that JYP was going to form a group around Somi, but he was just taking a little time to get it right. And in the meantime, Somi was doing variety shows and she was doing guest hosting. And, the girl stayed in front of our faces the whole time while JYP was trying to get a group together for her. But, Somi's dad, who is an actor himself, really wasn't too keen on how long it was taking for JYP to come up with a group for Somi. He felt like JYP was squandering her publicity train by not having this group formulated fast enough. And, hindsight being 2020, I think her dad kind of really should have had a little bit more patience because I think all of us are aware that Etsy probably would have been her group. I'm fairly sure Etsy would have been her group. It wouldn't have been It wouldn't have been Inmix. It would have been Espa, or it would have been Etsy. So Somi's dad decides to have her withdraw from JYP and have her join YG. I think she joined under the black label straight up. And a lot of people were really excited for Somi, but they were also really confused because everything that had been kind of released to the public to formulate their opinion about Somi was done under the way that JYP cultivates personality. So when you think about JYP idols, just like how you think about SM idols, just like you think of YG idols, when you think of JYP idols, a lot of the success of JYP idols has to do with their personalities. And JYP idols are kind of seen as like the camp counselor of K-pop. They're that cool older kid who still has time for the younger kids and is really, really fun and really, really wholesome and plays by the rules. And everybody really likes them because they tend to be very peppy and they tend to be very, fun oriented. And they're the party starter. They keep the party going. That's kind of the personality type that JYP idols get. They can be a little bit kooky, they can be a little bit weird, but overall, they love to have a good time and they just really love to hang with people. Think Jackson, think Nyan, like think Taehyun from 2PM. Like when you think of a JYP idol, they have a certain personality type. Somi had a personality type for a lot of people that was very closely aligned with the JYP personality type. Her going to YG personality type, the way that it's marketed, is the complete opposite of what's going on over there at JYP. The YG personality type is kind of a bad guy, might dabble a little bit into drugs, shows up to class, but sometimes doesn't show up to class, the coolest kid in class, never does anything dorky, never does anything weird. Um, Basically, an individual. Well, when Somi came over to YG immediately started working on marketing her to fit the YG personality type, kind of a cool, removed, um, a little bit a little bit sarcastic, but not trying to hurt people's feelings, but still a little bit sarcastic. They try to do all that to like let people know this is a new Somi you're gonna get. You're not gonna get the JYP version of Somi. But then they released Birthday, which to me, Birthday is a very JYP sounding and looking title track. To me, it's not very divorced from the JYP image. But they tried to market Somi as being not the JYP Somi we all got to know. Then when that didn't work out and people criticized her stage presence as a solo, and I was one of the many people who was like, this is the reason why Somi needed a group, because she does not carry a stage on her own. YG took some time, which was needed time, to try to figure out what to do with Somi next. And the time that they took to try to figure out what was going to be next for her was time that basically evaporated a lot of the goodwill, a lot of the media presence, a lot of the kind of seen and be seen energy that Somi had with JYP. So she comes back, and this time they're marketing her as like a complete YG product. She's talking about how much weight she's lost, how skinny she is. She's super bright blonde now. And in the videos, she's smashing shit up and she's talking about these boys who are too uncool to get with her. And, I'm a YG girl now. I hang out with the other girls from Blackpink. I'm a YG girl now. It does okay. It doesn't do terrible. It does okay. But then she disappears again for years at a time again. In that time, there aren't people asking Somi to do their shows the way they did when she was with JYP. And the music's not giving residuals, and she's not doing concerts, and she's just not present the way that she used to be. So now she's got to come back. And the comeback is typical YG cool girl bullshit, like it always has been. And I see people excited because they're like, wow, where has Somi been? I almost forgot about you, girl. But I don't see people saying what kind of music they expect to get from her. I don't hear people saying, "Oh, wow, she looks totally different than she did the last time," queen of changing looks. It's just like, "Oh, something's back. I'll check it out when it comes out." But it hasn't been beneficial for her. And that's just, again, kind of a microcosm of what YG doesn't do for you. YG expects you to conform to what they advertise as their kind of idol. Not even just artist, their kind of idol. They want you to conform to that. They're not going to push you to promote very much. They're not going to do anything to keep you in the public eye. They're not going to look at your strengths and build up your strengths. They're not going to protect your voice. They're not going to protect your joints for dancing. They're not going to do anything other than see what they can get out of you when they're ready to deal with you. Same thing with Akmu. The brother from Akmu was one of the most respected musicians in the Korean music scene. He worked with a lot of different people. He was acknowledged as a genius. Him and his sister both together, magical. Before he left to go to the Marines because he was doing his mandatory enlistment, he told YG, "I have written an album for my sister. Please release her music while I'm gone. I will be gone for 21 months. That's almost 2 years. I have made music for her. Please release her music." Her album was ready before her brother even went into the military. They didn't release anything for her for over a year. Then they finally released something just to like let her brother know, like, yeah, we did release something. And then her brother came back out the military, and I think they did like one comeback. And since then, it's been quiet on the Akmu front. Only today have I heard that they're going to have another comeback. And he's been out the military now for as long as Taemin was in the military, I think. So I say all this to say, YG and their mishandling of artists is the reason why they can only rely on Blackpink. And they can only rely on Blackpink because they advertise Blackpink as an extension of 2NE1. But they have done everyone a disservice by not minding their business and not taking care of things the way that they need to be. And it's just very, very frustrating that now they are slandering Lisa in the press to try to pressure her into re-signing her deal. And Jennie's having to go on Dua Lipa's talk show to tell people about how dancing injuries and dancing while sick and doing things that she would normally do as a trainee have made it to where now as an idol she's having a hard time with things. Telling people that she got her own job on the idol, whether good or bad, however you believe about that particular career move. But all of that being a part of YG just not minding the business that is YG. A while back, Hybe was doing a lot of buying. Hybe had bought Pledis, Hybe had bought Source, and Hybe also bought YG Plus. And if you own the new New Jeans album, I actually have a copy of Get Up. I bought a copy from the Target back here. I bought the Danielle version of the Pink Purse version. I have that at the house. I would have unboxed it on my channel, but it would have been a really boring unboxing. There wasn't much to talk about or show. If you look at the bottom of the box where it has all the trademark markings and everything else, you'll see that the album was actually printed on YG Plus, which is like the printing arm, production arm of YG. At the time that Hybe was in this buying frenzy and they were buying Scooter Braun's label in America and they were buying all the stuff in Korea, I had said then, I'm just waiting for them to buy YG the label. I'm just waiting for Hybe to finish twiddling their thumbs and to buy YG the label. I thought it would have happened before now. I think at the time I had predicted like by the year's end or by the end of a full calendar year, they'll have bought the label. They haven't done so yet. I'm just going to put this out there because this is my guess. But if Blackpink does not renew their contracts with YG, YG is going to be more than open to selling to Hybe because there are no other money makers on YG. There aren't. Winner's gone. I mean, they're mostly in the military, so Winner's gone effectively. iKON's been gone now. Acme's not really recording like that. Taeyang Solo did not do the blockbuster numbers they were anticipating for being a former member of Big Bang. There are no more members of 2NE1 on the label. Uh, Treasure sells, but Treasure isn't really the prestige act that YG needs, because the other part of it is that YG relies on acts like Big Bang and BP in Blackpink in order to sell trainees into wanting to join YG and to make people take the other acts on the label seriously. And so if they lost Blackpink, there really wouldn't be any other group that people could say this is the reason why YG is considered a powerhouse. So Treasure, not really sound like that. Somi, not really having the sales that they need to. Sarah says Treasure sales. Treasure sells more than most. I'll put it that way. Treasure not might not be selling the way that NCT is selling, but Treasure sells enough for them to not be a lost cause. I'll put it in that frame. But also Treasure lost one of their main songwriters very early on in the game. Like the one person that a lot of people were like, this guy is the new G Dragon. This guy is the new kind of like multi hyphenate for YG. He left very early on. So, yeah, there's that. The Black label has got a few indie acts underneath it, but they're not really releasing a bunch of stuff. They're not really super well known to anyone outside of Korea. Zion T hasn't released a physical in a super long time. The last Zion T album, I want to say was ZZZ maybe. I remember that album, the cover of the album was like an apartment building, and I think Sulgi did a duet on that album. And I want to say that album came out before the pandemic. I think that album came out before the pandemic. Yeah. Who else is keeping the lights on at YG? If they lose Blackpink, they have lost the game. And because of that, Blackpink got to ask for the fucking world. If I was Blackpink, I would ask for. I don't think that Baby Monster is going to be the one. I don't think Baby Monster is going to be the one. I know that there are a lot of people who are YG stans who are like, Baby Monster sounds so good. They're going to be so great. They're going to be monster rookies. Yeah, before the pandemic. I look it up for me. Somebody look it up on Wikipedia. When was Zion T's last physical release for YG or Black Label or whichever one he's signed to? Because I think he's had a couple of digital songs, but I think it's been a long time since he had a physical. So let's talk about Baby Monster because we're already there. Baby Monster is the new group that YG has said they're going to come out with. I want to say it's a group of maybe 7 girls. Correct me if I'm wrong. I might be wrong because I don't pay close enough attention. But I think everyone in that group is under 18. And I saw a Twitter thread where somebody was like, Baby Monster is about to be your vocal queens. Here's the evidence. And it was all of the members of Baby Monster singing various songs and trying to put forth the narrative that Baby Monster are these baby rookies that are like some of the best singers K-pop's ever seen, and they're going to totally take over the game. I watched the thread. I looked at the clips. There are literally only 2 girl voices that I was like, okay, this could be something. And really, honestly, if I was being truthful, there was only one girl in all of Baby Monster that I was like, this is it. This is the one. This girl, if things don't work out for Baby Monster, she's got a chance because she's got a voice. She almost sounds like an SM singer. She's that good. But Baby Monster, unless YG hires completely new songwriters, one of 2 things is going to happen. Baby Monster is going to turn into another Treasure where fans are going to buy, but the general public's not going to really fucking care. Or Baby Monster is going to be a Blackpink ripoff, and people are going to say, no, quit trying to make 2NE1 3.0 again. Like, this is kind of what I see happening for these girls. Because Baby Monster being the new group that YG wants to debut, the fact that YG has not shown us anything in my opinion, that makes this group look any different than any other group that's out there. They haven't given us any music that doesn't sound like a rehash of previous YG Acts songs. There's nothing new about this group. There's nothing new about this group. They're not doing anything that anybody else isn't doing. And, you know, I really try to stay away from it because I don't like to let my favoritism show all the time. I like to sometimes hold it back. But have you listened to that New Jeans? Have you listened to it? It is bangers from front to back. There's not a single bad song on that bitch. It's 6 songs over 12 minutes, and one of the songs is literally like just a little over half a minute. But this release is solid as shit. This release is so fucking solid that it would make a lot of Western artists jealous. It is it is exactly on trend. Every fucking song. There's UK garage on the album. There's literally a rap break on one of the songs that sounds like fucking Ice Spice. Like there's no competition. There's no fucking competition. There's no competition. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens, but there's no competition. And I don't see anything different from the Baby Monster girls. I really don't. I don't see why YG would do a big group for girls. That's another thing. Somebody you guys mentioned it in the comments just now, but Baby Monster's supposed to have 10 girls. YG has never had a girl group that big. They've never had a girl group that big. And that's because one of the things that makes YG groups work is how small they are. So let's rewind it. There are some large groups in K-pop: EXO, Girls' Generation, the NCT University. There are some big groups in K-pop, but most groups don't do well once they get past 5. 7 is pushing it. Think BTS twice. There, you got your obligatory BTS mention today. Most groups don't do well past 5. And that's why YG groups have been so magical, because they've kind of stuck with that magical number. I remember when I was first getting into K-pop, one of the things that I remember thinking was so good about Big Bang was that only having 5 members meant that everyone in the group got a significant amount of time to be heard, and it made it to where their vocal color on the song made the song sound better. Like one of my favorite Big Bang songs of all time is Bad Boy. My favorite Big Bang song is probably Tonight, which is still another great example, but I want to stick with Bad Boy. When you listen to a song like Bad Boy, where you have the singers singing and the rappers rapping and the sing rapper sing rapping, what makes that song, which is kind of a ho-hum melody, sound so good is the fact that you can kind of hear everybody's character throughout the song. So at the beginning of the song, G Dragon is sing rapping. Then you get, of course, Taeyong giving you full on R&B vocals. Then you have Top doing his kind of like monotone sing rapping, but a way more serious thing. Then you have Daesung giving you his kind of like wistful, almost rock tinged vocal. And then you have Seungri being there. And then they all come together. And it makes the song interesting. It makes the song to where like you're always kind of waiting for this part to begin or that part to begin. And even though they're working off the same melody, even though everyone's working off the same thing, it sounds interesting. During the verses, it's the same thing, where it's just like dun 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 dun. There's kind of like the backing, and then everybody's giving it its own thing, which adds to the melody. The melody. So when you think about that, and you think about Big Bang, it works because everyone gets time. When you have a huge group like NCT or a huge group like Treasure, there's not enough time for everybody to get their spotlight. There's not enough time for everybody to get their shine. And it makes it to where the songs are like by committee and they don't sound as special. And when you're talking about a label that prides itself on being the label for the artist and the label that really curates and protects the individuals that are on the label, then it doesn't make sense for them to have a really large group because it's easy to get lost in a really large group and it makes it seem like there's not a singular identity for the group. But yeah, when you look at 2NE1, what made 2NE1 work is that them four girls, everybody really stood out. When you look at Blackpink, them four girls, everyone really stands out. I don't know how you stand out in a room full of 10 bitches. I'm so sorry. I do not know how you stand out in a room full of 10 women and everyone trying to get a line. So yeah, I don't see it working. And if it works and I'm wrong, I will eat my words. Because I can tell you, when Blackpink first came out, there's some live streams from back in the day where I was like, I don't like this shit. This ain't for me. I don't care for it. It ain't working for me. I have plenty of that because I unlike some politicians, I acknowledge my past. But yeah, when Blackpink first came out, number one, I was bitter about the fact that they were 2NE1 2.0. We know for a fact that there are certain songs that were supposed to be 2NE1 songs that Blackpink got and were able to make work. I didn't really initially like a lot of the early Blackpink songs. Um, I liked, I really liked Whistle. I remember when I heard Whistle, I'm like, if this is what they're gonna do, this is amazing. Oh yes, Hunty. I have live streams from very far back. But I remember Whistle being like, this song, this works for me. It reminds me of Yin Yang Twins. I really like this stuff a lot. But there was like some little soft songs they did that I didn't give a damn about and I can't even remember the name for it anymore. I thought Fire was really good, but people weren't giving it an adequate chance. I thought the initial song that they did where they were in the train, I remember thinking, I don't really care for this song. It sounds too much like 2NE1. Um, I was also wondering when are they going to get a physical? As if it's your last. I think I might be one of the only people on the planet who does not think that is their best song. I know, I know, I know. Get mad at me. But like when I think of As If It's Your Last, it's all right. It's not a bad song, but it's not the statement piece that a lot of people think that it is, at least in my opinion. And I think that Did It Do is a much better song. I remember the first time I heard Did It Do, I'm like, oh, oh, okay, this is something. This is something special. Of course, you know, I'm partial to a certain sound, so maybe that's me. Um, I think that Blackpink's best song is How You Like That though. The first time I heard How You Like That, instantly I was all about it. Instantly, I was like, this is what I needed to hear because I don't feel like a song like How You Like That or a song like Whistle are songs that we would have ever heard from 2NE1. I think As If It's Your Last absolutely is a 2NE1 song. It sounds like ugly. It does. Think about 2NE1's music and think about the music that they did when they were an active group. Because I'm ugly and nobody wants to love me. Baby, let's go. Na 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 na. Na. It, same thing, same thing. But I feel like you wouldn't get 2NE1 doing hit you with that did it do. I don't think that you would get 2NE1 doing it how you like that. You gonna like that. Because there's no parts in those kind of songs where you'd have room for a park bomb. And that's why I feel like they sound very different. But yeah, like I just don't see it for Baby Monster. And I'll eat my words if it turns out that they're amazing. But I'm not getting my words until their comeback. I'm not their debut. I'll let them have that because most people are gonna want to support a debut from Baby Monster just because they're new and they're YG. But in terms of their comeback, that's when it's gonna matter because that's when it mattered for Treasure. Treasure debuted and people were super excited and wanted everything to do with Treasure and like, oh my gosh, it's so great. Finally YG doing the thing. But then later on, the comebacks weren't really anything that people were super noticing outside of the Treasure fandom. And so I, I'm I'm giving the same thing for Baby Monster. I think that their first release is going to probably do really well, and people are going to be excited about them. And Western media is going to pay a little bit of attention because of the legacy of Blackpink, obviously. And then I think the comeback is where you're going to see the dip. Those are my thoughts. That's my prediction. Ooh, I didn't intend to spend this much time breaking down YG as a company, but I guess it needed to be done. I guess it needed to be done. I still think How You Like That is Blackpink's best title track, bar none. I still think Whistle is fire. Make 'em whistle like a missile. Bomb, bomb. Oh, I love that. I do. When's the last time you listened to Whistle? I haven't listened to Whistle in a long time. I'm gonna have to listen to it again. I also have to watch the video. If you have not watched the video for Whistle in a really long time, easily the best Blackpink video. I think Blackpink suffers from really ugly, uninspired videos as of late. I mean, Pink Venom, even How You Like That didn't have a great video, but it had a great song. Look at you, now look at me. Look at you, now look at me. Look at you, now look at me. How you like that? Great song, great song. But yeah, Whistle Whistle is an almost perfect song. Think about it, let it marinate in your mind, spit it back out. Whistle is an almost perfect song, great video. And Fire is actually a much better song than what people give it credit for. And it was a sound that I wouldn't have necessarily related to anyone, but it's a sound that I feel like they really didn't explore very much after it came out. People thought Winter and Icon were going to take the mantle from Big Bang, and look what happened. Okay, let me talk about that. Uh, so I never thought that Winter should have won Winter. What, in case you don't know, Winner was literally named after the television show. So Winner and Icon were two groups that were competing on a reality TV show for YG. So way back in the olden days, YG was doing a variety show to pick out their next big group successor to Big Bang. And they had like Group A and Group B, I think something like that. And the name of the show was Win, WIN. And Bobby and BI were on one team. Minnow and the other members of Winner were on the other team. And I have always been a person that if you ask me what my favorite version of Big Bang is, I always kind of gravitated more towards the R&B hip hop sound of Big Bang. I've never been a big rock anthem Big Bang person, even though I love Tonight. I think Tonight is wonderful. And actually, I don't mind Love Song. That song's actually okay to me, even though it does sound like a U2 song. It has that very kind of like U2-esque guitar sound to it. But a lot of people love Blue and Loser and that kind of more rock sound of Big Bang. And in the show, it was very much kind of delineated that Winner was kind of the rock, uh, pop, Beatles inspired version of Big Bang, whereas the Icon Boys were more of the hip hop, R&B side of the Big Bang continuum. And when it came time to pick a winner, of course, winner won. Their group won because in Korea, not internationally, in Korea, the Beatles inspired rock U2 version of Big Bang is massively popular. Like, Loser is still a popular song today. And that bitch came out years ago. I'm a loser with 30. That they still sing that when people lose on variety shows today. It's crazy. It's crazy. But that style, because it is the more popular style in South Korea, it was kind of a given that the win team, the winner team was going to win. But I have always maintained that Icon was the better group in terms of long term because I felt like YG as a label got its origins in hip hop. For those of you who don't know, Papa YG was a member of Sotaji and the Boys back in the 90s. And Sotaji and the Boys is considered kind of like the genesis for K-pop as we know it today. It was a Korean rock star. Just let's be clear on that. It was a Korean rock star who listened to American hip hop and decided, I'm going to make Korean hip hop. And so he hired YG and one other guy to be background dancers to him while he rapped. And I want to say Sotaji and the Boys only did maybe one or two albums of hip hop music before Sotaji decided he didn't want to rap anymore. But YG, taking his experience as a b-boy, as a dancer, already kind of having these industry connections from being one of the boys from Sotaji and the Boys, decided to start his label YG Records. And I want to say the first big group on YG was a rap collective called One Time. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I want to say that Teddy was a member of One Time, or somehow he's connected to the very early beginnings of YG. That's why Teddy's name has stayed around for so long. Anyway, moving forward from there, they had One Time, they had Big Mama, they had a few other groups on YG. YG also recruited a girl group with three girls, and he ruined their careers because one of the girls was a girl that he wanted to sleep with and marry. Because YG's that kind of fucking asshole. So keep going from there. G Dragon and Taeyong had been kind of like background dancers for YG for a while, and they were little kind of like precocious boy geniuses, especially G Dragon. Like from very early on, people could tell that Kwon Jiang was a very special kid, that he just had like a really peculiar talent for music, both writing and performing, and he had a unique tone of voice. And they just knew from very, very early on that Kwon Jian was going to be a star. And so it was a given from very early on that YG was going to make a group around Kwon Jian and Taeyang. Then later on, Top kind of got involved in the mix. Top being an underground rapper that was really successful, who had at the time what was a very unique voice for hip hop in Korea. Like that whole idea of having a gravelly voiced rapper that starts with Top. That's literally where it starts with Top, because there were rappers in other boy groups in Korea, like HOT had rappers. I think Shinhwa did a little bit of rapping. Like there were other rappers in Korean music. Seki's had rappers for sure. But Top in his particular voice was like a game changer. That's the reason why we have Robbie. And I hate to say that because I hate the sound of Robbie's voice, but he is the reason why we have Robbie. Because after that, K-pop record labels were like, we need a gravelly voiced rapper. So anyway, let's keep going. So YG pretty much knows Top, G Dragon, Taeyang, these guys are going to be in our group. But let's do a reality TV show because we're mean and masochistic. Let's do a reality TV show to figure out who is going to be in this new group. And Daesung was competing, Sungri was competing, and one of the members of Beast was competing. We could have had Hyunna's ex-boyfriend in Big Bang. Think about that timeline. Like when you think about like, alternate universes, just think about the timeline where Hyunna's ex-boyfriend was a member of YG instead of Sungri. I'm sorry, I'm distracting myself. Oh my gosh, could you imagine? And for those of you who are young and don't know, Hyunna's ex-boyfriend that I'm referring to is not Dawn. I'm referring to when she was dating a member of Beast, Hyunsung, who she did Troublemaker with. So go back in the K-pop archives. Anyway, they picked Daesung and Sungri to be in Big Bang, and then Big Bang debuts, and nobody likes them. It was so funny. I think about that all the time, and nobody wants to talk about it because people act like Big Bang was just like hot shit way out the gate. Uh, Big Bang's very first song, nobody really liked it. Like it didn't flop necessarily. It was just more like they were a little bit more hardcore than the other boy groups were, and people really weren't used to it at the time. So it was not a huge seller. Also, if you watch the original video, Top lifts up his shirt to show off his stomach, and like the boy has got like a baby stomach. It's so funny. It's so funny. It's so funny. Oh my gosh. Anyway, doesn't do great. Then they come out with like a string of hit songs. We're talking Lies, Haru Haru, like all of a sudden they find their niche and things are really, really going for them. And then we have Big Bang, The Legacy. Like they do all these like kind of intermediate songs where like the melodies aren't great and it's not my favorite stuff in the world to hear. Then they go to Japan and they release an album full of the worst phonetic English you've ever heard. And then they release another album that is a little bit better. And then they come back to Korea and they completely fucking rebrand. Like the Big Bang that left for Japan was not the Big Bang that came back to Korea. Big Bang comes back to Korea, and all of a sudden, you've got, Buggy Gaio, Big Bang and Top. You've got Taeyang, I Need a Girl. Like, everyone's changing. And then that's when you get Love Song Tonight, all this other stuff. I say all that to say, uh, hip hop has always saved YG from the very beginning. It's always worked for them. Yes, detours have been successful and have helped artists kind of find their footing, but hip hop has always been the bread and butter, the foundation of YG. And so when it came to wintertime and Winter won the show, I knew Winter was going to do okay. I never thought that Winter was going to be a terrible group, but I always felt like iKON was the stronger group because iKON had the hip hop perspective of things. iKON was more in line with the foundations of YG. But here's where things were difficult. And this is why I think things worked out the way they did. BI was being pressured to be the next G Dragon. They were having him self produce, they were having him songwrite, whereas Winter was always given the benefit of really good producers. Like, of course, Mino wrote a lot of stuff himself because as the rapper, you kind of have to write your own stuff. But the rest of the members, while they were contributing, they were given more access to more staff songwriters, more staff producers, and their stuff just always sounded a little bit more thoughtful coming out the gate. Like a little bit more time was put into it, and it definitely was made more to cater to Korea's demands. Whereas with iKON, they had a couple of different things going on. One, they had BI trying to be the next G Dragon and being told by Papa YG all the time, you're not good enough, you'll never be good enough. But also, they were trying to get a little bit of that Winter, like pop kind of rockish thing. Uh, in fact, their very first release kind of was more of that. And then also doing like the really hardcore hip hop, rapidy Rappenstein stuff too. And it was just too much of like a departure for people. Like people were like, either you're going to be these soft boy types or you're going to be rapidy rapping scene rap rap rap. You cannot be both. Korea just wouldn't stand for it with iKON. Whereas Winter, if you look at Winter's discography and you look very carefully, they kind of gradually made the transition towards being a little bit more R&B. They gradually, I would say, when that asshole left Winter, that's really when their sound made the big turn. That to me, that's when their sound made the big turn. But anyway, so iKON lived in flux for a while. Uh, the My Type did good initially. Then when they did the rapidy rapiding, it wasn't doing that great. And then Bobby was trying to go solo. Bobby ended up winning a season of what the fuck is the name of the show? I want to call it So You Think You Can Rap, but that's not what it's called. Oh my, show me the money. Show me the money. Bobby winning Show Me the Money really changed a lot of things for Winter. Winter did another reality TV show for masochistic reasons. But anyway, not Winter, Icon. Icon did another one. But things changed for Icon when Bobby won. When Bobby won Show Me the Money, it changed everything for them. Also because BI didn't win, which why are you such an asshole? Papa, why are you such a fucking asshole? Okay, Bobby won Show Me the Money. And correct my memory because all of this has happened a long time ago and I don't live my life trying to recall these things. But if I remember correctly, I want to say that Bobby won Show Me the Money and then BI went on Show Me the Money and lost. I feel like I have the order correct. But Bobby winning and BI losing and BI being constantly told, you are no G Dragon, was horrible for Icon. And it was horrible for Icon because YG had already established in the public's mind that BI was the tastemaker for Icon. And if he's saying that BI is not good enough and you've been outdone by Bobby, you can imagine how bad that was making BI feel. Someone who was being told, you're a genius, but you're not good enough. So that's all happening. Bobby's living his best unwashed existence. In case you forgot about the time that Bobby said it's hip hop not to shower. Bobby's living his best unwashed existence. We have, oh, they went at the same time. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you for, because I knew it was like, it was one of those things where like BI lost, Bobby won, but I couldn't remember if they were on separate seasons. Because I was saying if they were on separate seasons, it would have been one after the other. Anyway, you live in this band with this conflict of you being told you are responsible for the success of this group, but you've already been told you're not as good as one of your group members. That's hard to deal with. Then BI gets caught up in this drug bullshit after he's finally written a hit for Icon. After the Show Me the Money debacle, finally, BI writes a stone cold hit for Icon, Love Scenario. I still have problems with the pronunciation of scenario. Even though the other day I was listening to Jay-Z's Big Pimping and I was listening to Bun B sing the word scenario, and it made me think that maybe BI got that weird pronunciation from listening to Bun B, because if you're familiar with Jay-Z's discography, I don't know how many of you there are also Jay-Z fans as well as K-pop listeners. I feel like there's at least 2 or 3 of you. There's a song by Jay-Z called Big Pimpin', and the song's like, Big Pimpin', we spent in G's, we be big pimpin' on BLADs. That song. Anyway, that song is one of my favorite Jay-Z songs because it features UGK, which is one of my favorite rap groups of all time. Particularly Pimp C is one of my favorite rappers of all time. But Bun B, who is another member of UGK, getting into the weeds here because you know I like to get into the weeds. Bun B raps on the song Big Pimpin', and there is a lyric on the song where he's like, he says scenario, but he doesn't say it that way. He says scenario. Yeah, he said Southern rap impresario, make about something like barrio, and then he goes, "Oops, my bad. That's my scenario." But anyway, Bun B, if you listen to the song, he pronounces scenario wrong, and then he goes back and says, "Oops, my bad," and then he does it right. And ever since then, I was listening to that song the other day, and ever since then, my mind has been like, what if the reason why BI had them pronounce scenario wrong is because it's an ode to Jay-Z's Big Pimping? And maybe, what if BI is like a closet UGK fan? First of all, if I find out that BI is a closet UGK fan, I will buy an album from him. I If I find out that BI is a closet UGK fan, I will buy an album. I will buy a BI album because I love UGK. My favorite UGK song being Take It Off. Anyway, let's keep going. So finally, BI writes a hit for iKON. He writes Love Cena Rio. And I'm not going to pronounce it right for that song because they never pronounce it right. You can listen to that entire song up and down. There's not a single time that they pronounce scenario correctly. It is always scenario. And there's so many people at YG who speak English. There's so many people who used to live in America. There's so many people. Yet and still, scenario. Let's keep going. I can feel myself getting hot about it. And I've already established as an ode to UGK. Keep it moving, girl. Anyway, finally writes a hit song for them. Things are going well. They're getting bigger in the charts. They're starting to establish they are the true legacy of Big Bang at this point. That's what's happening with iKON. Then BI gets busted with drugs. And part of what makes the situation with iKON and BI so sad to me is that I don't even think that the members of iKON themselves knew how much they needed BI until he was forced to leave the group. I really don't. I think Bobby and crew really thought that YG was going to step in with new songwriters and new producers and was going to give them the backup to cope with the loss of BI as their songwriter and producer. And YG had no intention to do so. And so iKON struggled along a little bit. They did a season of Kingdom. Bobby got a girl pregnant, had a baby. But iKON was not long for YG after losing BI. BI is still making music. He's touring. But the group was not long for staying on YG without BI. And this really makes me sad because in a lot of ways, YG and the whole iKON situation reminds me very much of abusive parents with golden children and scapegoats, which I could talk about that all day long. I could talk about it all day long. As it so happens, I'm kind of the golden child of my family. Don't tell anybody. Also, Stevie's the golden child of our little family, but she's also the only child, so it's a grant, it's a given. But YG put so much pressure on BI to be the very best while telling Bobby, you are the best. That he really did kind of put a schism between these two individuals, and everyone else in iKON just kind of fell into that gap. And what should have been happening is that Bobby, BI, and the rest of iKON should have been together in saying, we're being emotionally manipulated. This man has put us on 2 reality shows, telling us that any of us could get kicked out of the group at any time, that we won't debut ever. There were so many times that these boys should have been able to look at each other and say, this record label is fucking the shit up for us. It's not that we're not talented. It's not that we can't write hits. It's not that we don't have the vocals. It's the fact that the label keeps telling us that all of our best efforts aren't good enough. And I wonder if iKON would have been better served just packing up their bags and leaving the label when BI left. In a dream world, that's what they would have done. But in the real world, that's not what they did. And bringing things back home, finally, after so many kind of roundabouts and little offshoots here and there, Blackpink is in a very similar situation at this point. Not that they have a member who's been accused of doing drugs. That's not what we're talking about here. What we're talking about is I think that YG has allowed a lot of distance and competition and playing people off of each other to happen in Blackpink. I think there has been a lot of fake competition that YG has encouraged between Jennie and Lisa, and a lot of kind of dismissing Rosé's contribution to the group and basically telling Jisoo, you are the most beautiful woman in Korea. And I think they've done a lot of that manipulation to keep Blackpink from unionizing and just getting the fuck off of YG. And I hope that someone who is a better K-pop historian than me will sit down with the individual members, each one, and just present them with the facts, with the history, with what everyone already knows about this label, and will encourage them to unionize and leave. Even if they can't take their name with them. At this point, they don't have to take their name with them. They don't. I would be okay if Blackpink said, fuck YG, have this fucking name, we will figure something out ourselves. Because at this point, Blackpink is so big that there is no one who's going to deny them a music show chance because of YG. YG doesn't have that kind of power. They don't. They don't. YG doesn't have the kind of power to keep Blackpink off of the radio in America, to keep Blackpink off the radio in Europe, to keep Blackpink from promoting the fuck out of China, to keep Blackpink from even doing anything in Japan or Korea. They could try to keep their appearances at a minimum in Korea. They might be able to influence people to not hire Jisoo to do K-dramas. But outside of that, Blackpink is so big that YG needs them a hell of a lot more than they need YG. A hell of a lot more. So at this point, why even negotiate? Why even negotiate? At the time that 2NE1 wanted to negotiate with YG, Big Bang was still releasing music. Just for those of you like, well, 2NE1 didn't, blah, blah. Just follow me here. When 2NE1 broke up, they were not in nearly the same position as Blackpink. Big Bang was still making music. Big Bang was still the biggest thing on the label. And again, 2NE1 was practically telling YG was practically telling 2NE1, your money is peanuts here. Your money is play money. Your money doesn't do anything for us. In fact, we're losing money promoting your asses. That's the way that YG talked to 2NE1. And Minji was kind of like, well, fuck it. If you don't need my money, I'm getting the fuck up out of here. And then YG, maybe or maybe not, had to mitigate the Park Bom drug scandal, which I have done videos in the past about how I thought that Park Bom was a scapegoat for a lot of the controversies going on in the Korean government at the time, and that YG had known about this drug thing for a really long time, but they released it because people were going to investigate YG for their connections with the former president of Korea, who got in trouble for embezzlement and bribery, and also for letting her country be run by like a psychic friend. I don't have time to give you the entire history of that, but I just need you to understand that Korea's last female president got in trouble after the Sewol ferry tragedy because it was revealed that she was taking political advice from a woman who was some sort of soothsayer slash psychic slash spiritual advisor, and that woman was being paid with bribes from other people to tell the president of Korea to do certain things that would help these people that were bribing her. And it also came out that a lot of property and tax concessions were made to both YG and SM under the female president's tenure as president. And a lot of people were going to investigate some of the claims that YG wasn't paying taxes like they were supposed to. And all of a sudden, Park Bom is in the news for several months ago having ADHD medicine, anxiety medicine delivered to her in Korea that was legal in the United States for well-documented mental health reasons, but not legal in South Korea. All of a sudden, that story surfaced. All of a sudden. 2NE1 was at a disadvantage negotiating with YG because they were told, you aren't the most important thing in the world for us because you don't have dicks. Y'all are women. Blackpink is the most important thing in the world for YG at this point. They really, really are. Don't sign. Just don't. Just don't. You have no reason to. Don't do it. There is no incentive for you here. There's nothing for you here, girl. There's no reason for you to do this. You're better than that. Much like Destiny's Child in Miss Survivor. You're better than that. You're better than that. So, yeah, I really sincerely hope that they decide not to resign. I think that would be hilarious. Also, let us be clear, it has to be all or nothing. I also want to put that out there because that's very important. There will be a temptation for YG to divide and conquer. There will be a temptation for YG to tell some of the members, like, hey, we don't need Lisa. The three of you are Blackpink. Lisa's just an add on. I really, truly hope that the girls aren't stupid enough to believe that they don't need Lisa. I hope that Lisa is not told to sign with Jisoo and Rose if Jennie's not signing. I don't think that Jennie is bigger than the group either. I could see them moving forward without Rose or Jisoo. I could see it. It wouldn't be the most popular decision, but I could see it. But Jennie's got to resign and Lisa's got to resign. Neither one of those girls should re-sign with that group if the other one's not coming. If I was Jennie, I would not re-sign to YG without Lisa also signing. If I was Lisa, I would not sign unless I knew that the other three girls were signing as well. I would also demand parity. I would let them know that I will not re-sign unless I know I'm getting the same amount as everyone else. Also, I would ask for right of first refusal. If I was Lisa, I would say any business deals to be made on my behalf need to be brought through my personal management before it goes to the record label for approval or disapproval. And I need to be made fully informed of what the monetary rewards will be for any business transaction. I don't want the money to be negotiated later after the contracts are signed. I need to know upfront. I want to be a contract worker with YG. So, yeah, I wish the best for all of them. I really, really do. Girl, I didn't come on here and I talked about K-pop for a straight hour and a half practically. And I was going to come up here and talk about fat shit. I really was. I was going to come on here and I was going to talk about what it's like to grow up fat and how being fat is different today than it was back when I was a kid, and how I'm just so proud of the fat girls in the world now because y'all are doing so much more shit than I was ever doing. And that train of thought has come and fucking flew out of the window. I don't have it anymore. That really was what I was going to talk about. I really and truly, that was my goal today. The reason I wanted to talk about it is because I had read a tweet about this lady who was at a school with a little girl who was getting picked on for being chubby. And the little girl was like, the kids in school, they bully me, and I'm so tired of them picking on me because I'm fat. And this lady was an overweight woman, and she walked the little girl to the classroom and gave her a secret handshake and a hug, and then handed her some money for the vending machine. And the little girl was like, oh, are you really my friend? And she's like, yeah, girl, we're friends. Anyway, in the comment section, one of the ladies in the comment section, I'm assuming a lady, said, oh, that's so sweet. I want to buy that little girl all the clothes. And I was thinking about why saying I want to buy her all the clothes is a gift. Because there was nothing in that story that talked about the fact that the little girl's clothes did or didn't fit. There was nothing talking about what size the little girl was. They just said she's a little chubby. There was nothing talking about how the little girl didn't have the same clothes as the other people. It was just somebody saying, I want to buy her all the clothes. And then I realized why that response, number one, why it was made, but number two, why it stood out so much to me. And it is because I grew up when there were no clothes for chubby little girls. So, for those of you who don't know, I'm in my mid 40s. I'm going to be like right in the middle of my mid 40s very, very soon. But be that as it may, because I'm in my mid 40s, I am what's considered a Gen Xer. I was like the last of the 70s kids. And I was fat during a time when fat clothes were nigh on impossible to get. Girl, baby, let me tell you. I remember shopping at Catherine's and Lane Bryant to have clothes to wear to school when I wasn't shopping in the men's department for jeans and tennis shoes and t-shirts. I remember having to make my own prom dress because they didn't sell dresses in my size at the store. And at the time, I was wearing a size 20. It wasn't even as big as I got later on. And I remember clothes being the bane of my fucking existence when I was younger. I used to want to dress like other girls so much. And for those of you who don't know a lot about my backstory, not that I have a super interesting backstory or anything, when I was in high school, I wanted to be a fashion designer. It was the only thing I wanted. I did not want to be Versace or anything like that. I actually wanted to design clothes for Kmart and Walmart. It is such a random kind of like mundane dream, but when I was in school, I loved clothes. I was obsessed with clothes. I was obsessed with fashion. I used to watch all the red carpets for all of the shows. And I used to really just I could name any designer based off of their accessories, based off the dress. Like I knew all the designers of the time. And I wanted to be a fashion designer slash buyer for a department store because I thought that that would be it for me. I knew I wasn't super creative, so I was never going to be like a Versace type, but I felt like I had good enough taste to help decide what would and wouldn't sell in a department store. And that was my dream. And part of my dream was fueled by I wanted to learn how to sew because stores didn't carry clothes over a size 14 or a 16. It used to be if you went into a store, a 14 and a 16 was pretty much the largest size that you could get. And a 14, 16 in the US is about a 16, 18 in UK sizes because I think UK sizes are like two numbers up. But it wasn't very big. And I used to wear business casual to school. I used to wear like women's work pants and women's work blouses when I wanted to dress nice for school because they didn't have cute clothes past the 16. So if I wanted to look like anything other than jeans and t-shirts, I had to buy men's clothes. And so when my daughter was born, I went hog wild because I had just kind of they just started after I got out of high school to start offering larger clothes, cuter clothes. Torrid was starting to come up at the time when Torrid first started. It was more like emo goth wear. It really wasn't like regular girl wear. But Torrid was coming up. Hot Topic was starting to offer a few larger sizes. Also, Hot Topic and Torrid were the same company for many, many years. And online shopping for plus sizes had just barely been a thing. In the early 2000s, wasn't at all. Later 2000s became a big thing. And now, like, all the plus size girls order online. Shein is like a beast now. But I remember growing up and just wanting to have the clothes that other girls had because it was the clothes that I used to think were the reason why people judged me being fat. I used to think like people think I'm ugly in my fatness because fat girls can only wear ugly clothes. And if I had cuter clothes, then maybe people wouldn't focus on my fatness, they would focus on my fashion. And it's not like that now. When my daughter was little, I bought her all the clothes. And as she got older and got bigger, I still kept buying her all the clothes. She literally went to go see Paramore the other day. I bought her a Paramore t-shirt off of the Tory website. Like she stays in cute clothes. My daughter is always dressed super duper cute. And it's not even me dressing her half the time. She dresses herself. But I remember thinking when I was little and I was a chunky little kid that if I could just have cute clothes, maybe I could be cute. And I did not realize kind of that connection to trauma at the time, but I realize it now, and it's very sad. It's very sad. She loved the concert, by the way. She said it was one of the best concerts she ever went to. Also, on my Twitter, I showed a clip from where she went to the concert and she recorded Decode for me. And I posted just a small clip because I'm not paying for Twitter. Fuck that noise. But I tweeted out the segment of video, and at the very beginning, you can't hear it very well, but she says, "Ready, mommy?" And it's adorable. It's super cute. Anyway, I'm digressing. But yeah, I hadn't realized that like I had that connection to trauma. And I know a lot of big girls, you can find them on YouTube all the time. If you type in the words plus size haul, there are so many big girls buying so many clothes. And it is because for so long, clothes were considered kind of the difference between the big girls and the small girls. And I think it's funny because it's not anymore. It's not. And we have access to all the things now, but it's not good enough. The goalpost has changed, which I think says a lot about bullying. Being bullied will make you believe that one thing is the reality instead of the other, when the truth of the matter is the goalpost will always change when it comes to bullying. It, it's that way in all abusive relationships, to tell you the truth. Going back to YG, going back to YG, somebody like YG telling a BI, "You're not good enough," isn't indicative of how good BI is. It is indicative of the way that YG can keep him pressed down and subservient so that he doesn't get too big ahead and doesn't think he deserves anything more. Why would YG do that? Why would YG compare someone to G Dragon, but then constantly mock, belittle, underestimate, judge consistently? It's because G Dragon became too powerful. When G Dragon and Big Bang became famous, everyone knew from the jump that it was identified. G Dragon wrote the songs. G Dragon was producing songs. G Dragon was the genius behind Big Bang. It was advertised, it was in all the interviews, it was the narrative that had been spun since day one. That if it wasn't for G Dragon, Big Bang would not be Big Bang because he is the genius behind it all. And it put G Dragon in a very powerful position when it came to him communicating with the press, when it came to him negotiating contracts, when it came to him being a part of the label. G Dragon could basically write his own check. He was given carte blanche, or as The Weeknd said in The Idol, carte blanche. He was given carte blanche to basically do anything he wanted to do on the label because he was G Dragon, the genius of Big Bang. YG, not wanting to lose power to another boy genius, dogged BI because he didn't want BI to have it in his head that he was good enough to demand anything more than the bare minimum from YG. So BI writes a hit song. It's congratulations, now write another one. The goalposts keep changing because with bullies, the goalposts change. Even if you grow up and you do your ugly duckling to beautiful swan transformation, and you were a buck-toothed, pimply, fat kid when you were little, and you lost weight, and you found the right skincare regime, and you had braces and retainers, and finally you're fine. It will be, do you remember when you were in school and you were ugly? The goalposts always change. You'll never be enough for people who are intent on bullying you. And yeah, I'm not saying this little girl doesn't deserve all the cute clothes. I'm not saying she doesn't deserve all of the snacks. What I'm saying is providing those things doesn't help because at the end of the day, the people who want to take advantage of you and the people who want to belittle you and the people who want to put you down and the people who don't want you to have, they change the goalpost. It's never enough. Somebody just brought up Lee Sung Ki, and I'm glad you brought that up. He is the Korean actor slash singer, super duper popular. Is he dating? Is he the one that's dating IU right now? IU's dating somebody. I feel like that's who she's dating, but I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like that's IU's new boyfriend. Anyway, going back. Uh, no, he's not IU's new boyfriend because he's the one. Isungi, isn't he the one that married the girl that everybody hated and was like, don't marry her because her family are scammers? Yuna is dating Juno from 2PM. Yes, thank you. Thank you. IU is dating Lee Jin-suk. So IU is dating Lee Jin-suk. Lee Seung-gi just got married to a girl who everybody said that her family are con artists. And yeah, so that gets us great. Anyway, Lee Seung-gi. He decided to leave his record label. And in leaving his record label, it came about that he's like, I was told that I never made any money as a singer. And so they've kind of been funding the money for me the whole time. And I've been nothing but a burden to them. So I feel like I don't want to be a burden to them anymore. I'm going to go to another label. And of course, the Korean public is like, what do you mean you never made any money as a singer with them? Like, I bought your records. Have you ever looked at the charts? Like it says here, you sold so many fucking units and you had so many digital singles and everything else. What do you mean you never made any money? And that caused lawyers to be involved. And the record label at first came out and said, well, marketing budgets and advances and sometimes he couldn't promote because he was doing shows and TVs and his military with his monies. Then it became, well, see, the contract said, and once you take out expenses, well, then it was, well, see, we told him we were going to send him some money, and the accounting department forgot that they needed to give him this check for that thing. Then it was, you're ruining our business by telling people that we're a bunch of liars who don't pay our artists, and we might sue you because you are disparaging us. Finally, they came to an agreement. Lee Seung-gi got his money that he was owed, and all the money that ended up getting given to charity. So there's that. But it's just like, girl, once a liar, always a liar. Once a scammer, always a scammer. Once a manipulative piece of shit, always a manipulative piece of shit. It's never going to change. It's always going to be the same. Which is the reason why Lisa doesn't ever need to re-sign to YG. Because once a manipulative piece of shit liar, always a manipulative piece of shit liar. But this time, this is a situation where YG put themselves in this shitty situation because they didn't have a Big Bang as backup. Winners never brought in the kind of money that Big Bang brought in. Winners never brought in the money that Blackpink has brought in. They've never done it. So yeah, YG fucked up. They fucked around and tried to mindfuck a group of girls who have all the access to all the numbers now to know that they are YG. They are YG at this point in time. So, not saying, just saying. Go ahead and sell the Hybe. Go ahead, YG, go ahead and start the negotiations to sell the label to Hybe. Let's not waste any more time. Let's not waste anybody else's energies. Let's just go ahead and sign these documents. Let's do this. There's no point in beating around the fucking bush anymore. Also, fuck bullies. Fuck bullies. Real talk, fuck bullies. I'm trying to think if there's any other Queendom. Last thing I plan to talk about when it comes to K-pop. I can't really think of any other K-pop stuff I really need to talk about. Queendom Puzzle, which I think is a Queendom show where they're going to have different idols from different groups, like individuals, not whole groups, like the past seasons of Queendom. Because in the past seasons of Queendom, they would have like one soloist and a whole bunch of girl groups from different time periods and different statuses of Nugudom to compete against each other to win the season. But they're doing Queendom Puzzle, where it's like individual members from groups competing. And then the winning individuals will be made into a secondary group to be promoted by the network as the winners of this program. Y'all, I'm going to write down the name of this group. I want to say it out loud, but I literally cannot say it out loud. I wanted to, but I can't even think of how to say it. I'm gonna write it down. I'm gonna write it down. I have an envelope here. I'm gonna write it down. This is the name of the new group. EL7ZU+P. That is the name of the group that wins the new season of Queendom. Do you want to know what this is? This is supposed to be puzzle spelled backwards. What the fuck are we doing? Seriously, there have been some doozies of the names of some of these produce groups have been crazy. It's a fact. It's a fact that we lived with. EL7ZUNP? What? Are we supposed to call them that, or are we supposed to call them puzzle backwards? Are you just supposed to call them puzzle and pretend like what I just wrote spells puzzle? What are we doing? What are we doing? EL7Z space U+P. What are we doing? Like, seriously, what are we doing? Why are we doing this? Of all the things that we can be doing, why are we doing this thing in particular? It's so stupid. It's so stupid. It's so dumb. It is such a fucking waste of time. Like, get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. Side K-pop notes 50/50. Their name has been trademarked by Attract in both the US and the UK. So further trying to keep them from having any kind of presence anywhere else. What else? Oh, Everglow is going to make a comeback after, I think, more than a year, almost 2 years of inactivity, maybe longer. I don't know. Has Everglow had a comeback since 2020? Have they? Anyway, Everglow is going to have a comeback. Good for them. And Yuna and Junho and Yuna from Girls' Generation and 2PM respectively are dating, and that's a good thing. Also, I read a thread regarding, oh, what's his face? The name of the actor from Descendants of the Sun who married his co-star of Descendants of the Sun and then divorced her. Is it Park Joon-ki? What's it? I think it's Joon-ki, but I cannot remember his last name. Somebody let me know. Type it for me. Yeah, Song Joong-ki. Song Joong-ki. Apparently, at the time, I really tried to make no judgment call on it because the whole situation felt icky to me, and I wasn't down for it. But Song Joong-ki, he married his co-star, Descendants of the Sun, and it was a big deal because they denied dating, and then all of a sudden they were engaged. They get married. Then, within like a few months, not many at all, he files divorce from her and tells everybody it's because she fucked up the relationship. She's the one at fault. She did all these bad things. He tried to make it work. She wouldn't make it work. Therefore, he had to dump her. She kept her mouth shut. She didn't say anything to anybody about it and just let it ride. Even though she was accused of having an affair with Park Bo-gum because they were doing a show together at the time. And he had to come out and say, I'm not a homewrecker. I didn't do this. Leave my name out your mouth. So on and so forth. Very recently, like just a few months ago, Song Joong-ki announced his marriage and the birth of his child literally like at the same time with this white lady. And I say with this white lady because she is not somebody that we know. Let's put it out there like that. Um, we don't know this person. We just don't. It's not anybody we know. She's a civilian, as far as I'm concerned. But she's a European lady. Marries this white lady. It comes out now. Only comes out now. The reason why Song Joong Ki was dragging this woman's name through the mud during their divorce, slandering her, making her seem like an asshole, is because before they got married, this lady told him, I am in my late 30s, looking down the barrel at 40s, and I don't want to have any kids. I've lived my life without them. My career is based on my looks. I can't afford to take time away from the industry. I need to continue working. I can't have kids. He, like many an asshole, fucking manipulative son of a bitch, piece of shit, told her, hey baby, I love you. I don't care about having kids. Kids can come later. We can adopt. But I care about you, baby. You matter to me. And I don't see a future that doesn't have you in it. So they marry. And immediately, okay, well, now that we're married, time to have some kids. But you told me that you understood I didn't want to have. Yeah, yeah, that's all that single woman talk. We're married now. I am your husband. We need to have kids. Well, no, I just signed up to do another show. Descendants of the Sun was huge. I got all these offers, love calls. I'm doing it. I'm doing a show with Park Bogum. This is what I'm doing. But how's that going to make time for us to have kids, though? But I already told you I wasn't having kids. So it doesn't matter if it makes time for us having kids because I already told you I'm not having kids. So you're going to just run off and do your little TV show shit. Is that what I'm hearing from you? Yeah, like I literally already signed a contract, girl. I gotta go. Okay, okay, cool. Go on and do your little TV show shit. Go ahead and do your little TV show thing. She's on set. On set. And here's from the news that her husband has filed divorce on her. And of course, she's blindsided because they haven't been married but just a few months, literally months. And he didn't even do her the courtesy of calling her to let her know, I am contacting an attorney. You need to make arrangements for your stuff. And then, because women in Korea can't win unless they have solid evidence of wrongdoing. And even then, it's got to be so solid that you would have to be a liar to ignore it. He, through his representatives and his connections in the industry, puts out all these stories about, she's a whore and she sleeps with every person she's ever been in a drama with. And her husband knew she was sleeping with Park Bogum. And, he just couldn't trust her because she's a manipulative woman, never trust an older woman. She's older than him. She manipulated him. She told him she was going to be one thing and she was another, all that. Song Joong Ki has spent his time since they broke up chasing a mother for his kids. Finally got one. Finally got one. And where's our girl? Starring in The Glory, an internationally beloved show. She is one of the top Korean actresses in the world, walking the face of the earth. And her ex-husband has a white baby mama. And not saying that being white is wrong. What I'm saying is, when you're a Korean idol, you don't marry a white woman. You don't. You don't. And I'm not saying that because I'm racist. I'm saying that because that's the fact of the matter. I've said it before on this channel. All these Western girls who think that they're going to marry their Korean bias, just know any of the xenophobia we accuse Westerners of having towards Asian people, that shit is strong as hell there as well. They do not expect popular Korean males to marry non-Korean women. They expect them to marry the most traditional Korean woman they could find, or make a star a traditional Korean woman, if that's the case. Song Joong Ki is suffering, and it could not happen to a better individual. I'm very happy for him. I'm very happy for him. Well, that's really all I have to say. I just wanted to share that with you because these are the type of stories that we live for. We love to see prolonged justice. At least I do. Because no one deserves that. Like, let's just be real. No one deserves that. It is so hard being a woman in the Korean entertainment industry space because there are so many weird ass expectations of you, and it is the constant Madonna horror complex going on around the clock around there, but to a magnified degree. And it is just nice to finally see a woman get her dues without having to dirty her fingers to do it. I love to see it. Love to see it. That's it. If you guys have anything that you want me to talk about the next time you see me, leave it in the comment section and maybe we'll talk about it. I don't really have anything. I have a order coming in fairly soon. I bought some albums from K-Pop Town that have taken 2 months to get to me. Girl, let me tell you. Okay, I know I said I was going to get off. I really am going to get off after this because I don't really have anything else to talk about. But okay, K-Pop Town. I've complained about this before, but I didn't listen to myself. I need to start doing a better job of listening to me because I know what the fuck I'm talking about. I think I complained about it the last time I had a haul from K-Pop Town, but I did mention that it took a really long time for me to get album that I ordered from K-Pop Town. It took like weeks. But the album had already come out. It took me forever to get it. The reason why it took me forever is because I had ordered an album and a piece of merchandise. And K-Pop Town is actually a really good resource for getting merchandise. If anybody out there likes to get like company merchandise, let me tell you, K-Pop Town is actually a really good resource for getting merchandise. So like Shiny's comeback, this recent comeback, before the album came out, they had a lot of 15th anniversary merchandise that you could buy. And I went on K-Pop Town to order it from them because when I went to the SM Global shop, it was going to cost me like a third more to buy it from them than to buy it from K-Pop Town. I made the mistake of ordering some albums while ordering this merchandise in the same order because I like to save on shipping. And so I thought this was a great way for me to save on shipping. I placed that order May the 26th. Tomorrow will be July the 26th. It took 2 months for my order to be solidified. It shipped yesterday. I'm finally going to get my order sometime this week. And I just can't keep doing this with them. Catch Up CD, I love them. And when it comes to just like pure album hauls, I would prefer to order from Catch Up CD. No, K-Pop Town is not the same as K Town for You. So War and Ask, are they the same? They are not. K Town for You is the most popular K-pop ordering website in Korea, just so that people are aware. I've done a video before talking about the different K-pop ordering sites. I haven't ordered from as many different people in recent years, so I feel like the video I did about it is very out of date. But K-Town for You is the largest site for selling K-pop albums in South Korea. And whenever idols have pre-orders, a lot of times people talk about this idol has exceeded this many pre-orders at K-Town for You because that's how popular they are. People have ordered literally millions of albums through K-Town for You. Big, big deal. I'm not sure if K-Town for You works with that one cult in Korea because there is a cult in Korea that they do a lot of album distribution and they don't pay their workers. They instead hire people from the church to do the work. And so it's a shady thing. And we asked, like, when that story first came out, a lot of us asked, is K-Town for You one of the websites that's using this distribution channel? That question was never answered. But yeah, sayonara, thank you. So just keep that in mind if you're ever thinking about who to buy your albums from. So K-Town for You, very, very popular. I have a specific reason I don't use K-Town for You. During the pandemic, at the very early stages of the pandemic, K-Town for You had issues, just like everybody else did, of securing overseas shipping. There was a big shipping slowdown. A lot of stuff was getting stuck in imports, exports, that kind of thing. and it wasn't clearing customs. And so they had a really hard time securing good delivery rates, and their shipping went up sky fucking high, and it just never recovered. Their shipping just never got to a reasonable place for me. However, Catch Up CD diversified. They used to ship mostly DHL over at Catch Up CD. They started shipping FedEx. When they started shipping FedEx, the game changed for me. The rates were so much more reasonable for me to order stuff from Catch Up CD than it was for me to order from K Town for You. And K Town for You stuck with DHL, and DHL up, 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 up. So I quit ordering from K Town for You just on a purely like shipping level, cost of service type of thing. Recently, and when I say recently, I mean in the last couple of months, maybe, the shipping has come down quite a bit at K Town for You, and I have been tempted to buy from them. But another reason I don't buy from them is because way back in the olden days, like really olden days, back when they used to be called like, well, right after they were called DVD Heaven, back in the old days, I used to have problems with their customer service. I would get albums that weren't included in orders. I would get the wrong albums in orders. I've talked about it on my channel before. One time I ordered an EXO album and they gave me the Chinese version instead of the Korean version. Another time I had ordered an album, I think it was an In Black album. I can't remember exactly, but the album didn't come with my order and they were like, "We'll order something else and then we'll send it then." I'm like, "I shouldn't have to order anything else. I already paid for the shipping for this thing. Send it to me." Anyway, customer service, not that great. Catch Up CD, on the other hand, immaculate, perfect customer service. I talk about Catch Up CD all the time. They really are a hidden gem. Not enough people take advantage of the premium customer service Catch Up CD has to offer, their availability. The only thing that Catch Up CD doesn't have going for them is the fact that they do not pre order. And a lot of people like to secure their shit before it sells out. And with Catch Up CD, you kind of have to get there the day of release and order it the day of release. So it's not for everybody. Not everybody is willing to play the waiting game and then act immediately. I am. I like to live on the edge. But anyway, K Pop Town, which is not K Town for You. See, there you go. Somebody has a good story to say about them. K Pop Town is a company that I have ordered a lot of indie music from because that's another thing. K Town for You does do some K hip hop, but there was a while there I was buying a lot of K hip hop, and I just wasn't finding as much of it on K Town for You or on Catch Up CD. But I would find a lot of these like smaller hip hop artists on K-pop Town. So if I wanted to get the new Benzino or if I wanted to get the new Soyun, I would get that from K-pop Town. And that's what kept me ordering from them is that when everybody else's small stock of K hip hop would run out, I could always go to K-pop Town and find a copy. Hi, Justin. So I have been ordering from them ever since. And they also started doing this thing that they would offer free posters for pre-orders too. And so like if I was wanting to order a Red Velvet album and I wanted the poster to go with it and I didn't want to pay extra for poster shipping, if I ordered it from K-pop Town and I ordered it folded on the pre-order, then I could get it. And a lot of times if I was concerned about whether or not I could do a pre-order, K-pop Town would be where I would go because their shipping rates were not that far off of Catch Up CD, so it worked out for me. The problem has been though, K-pop Town started getting into merchandise. And when I say getting into merchandise, I mean a lot of times when you have like fan meetings, concerts, um, promotional material that's bought directly through the website for the record label, K-pop Town offers that stuff. But they order it the same way regular people in Korea order stuff. They have a person who's boots on the ground buying these things. And so they'll put the options on their website, but you won't find out until maybe a couple of weeks later whether or not they were able to actually get their hands on the thing you ordered from them. And so when SHINee's 15th anniversary came, I was like, there were a couple of things I really, really want. and I'm willing to go the route of going through K-pop Town to get them. One of them is like this, it's not a camera, but it's like a, I don't know, it's like a device that's kind of like a kaleidoscope camera type situation thing. Anyway, I really wanted it. I wanted to order it from the SM Global shop. Could not order it from the SM Global shop because it was going to be too much. So I ordered it from K-Pop Town along with a couple of other CDs, including 50/50's Cupid album. And it's now been 2 months. And the stuff that I wanted was supposed to be purchased in June. And yeah, it's been 2 months since I placed my initial order at the end of May. And I'm just now going to get those things. So I'll probably do that haul just because it does have a variety of stuff. There's a couple of things in that haul that I just want to talk about for fun's sake. But I don't know. K-pop Town and I might have to go on hiatus for a hot minute because it's just a long time to wait to get things. And I could have ordered some of that stuff from eBay and gotten it way quicker than what I ended up getting it from K-pop Town. But you know, I have favorites, and I can say this much. If K-pop Town doesn't have something, they're quick to give you your refund and let you know they don't have it. So that's nice. And so far, knock on wood, they have not messed up my orders so far. Everything has been intact the way it's supposed to be. So we'll see what happens. And then, yeah, that's really it. About the New Jeans album, I mentioned that earlier. I'm not unboxing it because I feel like it would be a very boring unboxing. For those of you who aren't aware, there are like, shit, I think 10 versions of the New Jeans album, maybe more. But there's a particular version that I wanted, which was the purse version. So when New Jeans' first physical release came out, they did like the digipack card pack. They did three purse versions, and they did the large box version, I believe. I think I'm telling you right. I could be wrong. Anyway, I have the first purse. I do. I have a black one, but yeah, I have a purse, a New Jeans purse from the first purse release. Purse first. And I'm not a fan of Todrick Hall. It's just for some reason I kept saying first purse and reminded me of purse first. Anyway, keep going. I have one of the first purse releases from New Jeans. And so when they announced that this new physical album was going to come with another purse, I'm like, hey, I already have one purse. I should get another purse. So Danielle is who I collect because knowing how Korea is about their girls, I feel like Danielle is a safe bet for resale value. I know I'm being very crass talking like that, but it's just the truth. And I don't have a bias in New Jeans, so Danielle's just as good as anybody in my opinion. But I usually get Danielle's version for resale purposes. And it just so happened that the Target back here had a Danielle pink purse copy on the shelf for like $22, which is cheaper than me ordering it from a K-pop shop. Like once you pay shipping, we're talking $30 minimum. So it was way cheaper to buy it at the Target than try to buy it anywhere else. Bought it at the Target, open it up, and I have to say, lots of improvements were made. There's still packaging stuff in that very thin cardboard, which gets damaged in transit, which Hybe has been made aware of more than once. But you open the cardboard box and you take out a piece of cardboard, and then you take out a very stiff little plastic purse. And inside of that little plastic purse is a little bitty box. And inside of that little bitty box is like three photo books, a sticker, a package of stickers, and a small envelope filled with like 4 or 5 photo cards. And yeah, it was nice because if you buy the I don't know if everybody got the same thing that I got because I haven't watched any other unboxings, but I bought Danielle's version of the pink purse, and inside my version I had all Danielle photo cards, all Danielle sticker, and there was a large postcard Danielle. The whole thing was full Danielle from front to back, end to end. And I really like that. I like that. I cannot tell you how frustrating it is as an SM fan to buy your bias's version of something and get not your bias's photo card. That's just frustrating. And I'm not even an avid photo card collector, but in the past, I have collected all of Minho's photo cards for Shiny from albums. And finding Minho's photo card can be expensive because he is a visual, and visuals usually cost a little bit more money than others do. And so, yeah, if you're buying your bias and you want your bias's photo card and you're buying your bias's version, you expect their photo card to be in there. And it's just nice that that is the case with New Jeans. Whereas NCT, I don't have many biases in NCT, but I have a couple. Like Mark is my favorite all around member of NCT just because I admire his work ethic. No one works as hard as that kid. No one in the history of K-pop has ever worked as hard as that motherfucker does. That little boy, from sunrise to sunset, he is on somebody's stage, in somebody's recording studio, on somebody's practice dance floor. Like he works his ass off. And I just respect the hustle. Honestly, I just really respect the hustle. Um, but yeah, he's my like all around bias for NCT. If I was talking about vocal wise, I think either Taeyeol or Dooyoung would be my favorite vocal wise for NCT. But when I get their versions, especially if I get their shmini, if I get your shmini, I expect your card to be in your shmini because the shmini literally has nothing else to it. The shmini is just a little bitty kind of like hit clips sized CD looking thing with a piece of cardboard in it, and then an envelope with a photo card. That's all the Sminny is. It's nothing else. So if I'm getting my biases Sminny, why am I getting another member's photo card? This is the one instance where I should get exactly who I paid for. So I say that to say, New Jeans, from working at SM, apparently Min Hee Jin has paid a lot of attention to what the fans want, and she is delivering. And for that, I am grateful because I got exactly what I wanted. Exactly what I wanted. So, along with member digipacks too, exactly like Sprix. But anyway, I'm gonna go because my headphones are starting to run out of battery use, and I've been talking for a smooth, solid 2 hours, no breaks, no refreshments. Um, that's a lot. I think that you guys should congratulate me on being able to hold out for this long. But in the meantime and in between time, I really, really appreciate everyone who's been hanging in there with me. I know I spend a lot of time saying thank you this, thank you that, but you guys, I'm really, really appreciative of you guys hanging in here with me. I know that over time, I have quit talking about some of the stuff that most people care about. I don't get new subscribers ever because literally the only people who like come to the lives or listen back on the lives are people who have followed me for a really long time. And so, yeah, I don't get new subscribers. It's just not a thing. Also, like, I name my videos really, really weird because I never know quite what I'm going to talk about. Sometimes, like, I go on tangents that like start one place and end up in Antarctica. And so I just name my thing like another one or who thought about that or why are popsicles? Shit like that, right? And so, yeah, my channel is super niche. It is really just for us. It's for the girls. And because of that, I don't have high views on my videos. I'm not doing unboxing. I'm not on here talking about how wonderful every single group I listen to is. Like, this is definitely like, this is the insider chat. Like, this is the background chat. If I had to compare what I do to anybody else, it is like, uh, I feel like my channel is very much like, hey Angela. I feel like my channel is very much like a sports show. Yes, yes. If you are from any country that has sports commentary, either a sports channel or a sports podcast, I feel like my show is very much like a sports channel. A lot of times, the sports commentary people are critical of athletes and say, like, this is what I think they should do, this is what I don't think they should do, this was a bum move on their part, this was a brilliant move on their part, we think this team's going to be successful, we think that team's going to suffer. Very much my my vlogs are like inside sports. And because of that, it is not what most people are looking for when they're looking for K-pop discussion channels, because most people want you to talk about a set number of favorite people. They want you to talk very well about those people. They prefer for you to unbox their albums, and if you are going to unbox, they expect you to unbox multiple versions of said albums. And yeah, just in general, like, gush, 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 love, 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 wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. That has never been the case over here. Like, the closest I get to it is that I am unfailingly kind to SHINee because they have fucking earned it from me. But other people, I have had critical things to say. I think Red Velvet is slipping. I think that after Psycho, SM has been actively trying to sabotage Red Velvet by not giving them strong enough title tracks, in my opinion. I feel like SHINee has not released title tracks that have been my favorite thing, and they've made wrong decisions on what they've decided their title track should be. I have had many ups and downs in terms of my feelings about the career of BTS and affiliated soloists. Also, I think that it's great that Jungkook beat out Jason Aldean. Thank God. Sidetracked. All that to say, I don't always say the most popular thing. I don't always do the most popular thing. I'm not always what people want to hear. But you guys hang in there with me and you give me a chance to get it out of my system. I have taken big hiatuses, I have taken small hiatuses. Y'all have still been there to listen to me and let me rant to you, and you have contributed. I have gone from a channel that used to regularly give out a bit of K-pop to I can't remember the last time I did a giveaway. You guys have hung in there with me. And I am very grateful because there were a lot of ways that this channel could have gone. There was a time back when I was getting more regular subscribers where I was getting contacted about joining YouTube networks. Never did it, never had a reason to. I remember being asked if I want to do affiliate codes with folks back when things were growing a little bit faster. Never did, never wanted to. I remember when things started to change and when commentary channels and reaction channels went from being like, sometimes I like this, sometimes like that, to being gush, 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 love, 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 your favorite's my favorite too. And we rode out those storms, and there's a lot of people who I started doing vlogs with who don't do vlogs anymore, people who I was in rather regular contact with who I don't really talk to anymore. And things come and go. Things come and go. I don't think there's anybody that I'm actively antagonistic towards in the K-pop world besides a couple of people who I did a very pointed blog about. But other than that, I don't have any enemies around these parts. I do what I want. But I say all that to say, there have been changes around here. We're not where we started. We don't know where we'll be next year. Things change around here. I talk about a lot of the same things all the time too. If you want to talk about SHINee, this is the place to be. I'm gonna talk about them all day long. But I say all that to say, I really appreciate you being here with me because it has made me feel like this space is a space where I am safe and I am seen, and that you are safe and you are seen. It is a place where judgment is reserved for the entertainment company, not for the artist, unless the artist is something personally repugnant. And it makes me feel like what we have as in terms of our relationship is a much more honest relationship than what a lot of people have with the people that they listen to commentary on YouTube about. Not saying that you need to invite me to your bar mitzvah because I'm not coming. I'm sorry, I'm not coming. But I feel like I've let you in to a lot of things with me, and I think you guys have responded in kind, and you've responded by still being here. And I appreciate that. If it wasn't for you guys letting me have the amount of subscribers that I have, I couldn't do lives because a few years ago, YouTube said you had to have a certain amount of subscribers in order to be able to do live streams full stop. So, like, it is the fact that you guys have allowed me to do this is really, really important to me. Um, but yeah, I just wanted to put that out there. And maybe I was prompted to say all this because Doja Cat has said kind of the opposite with her fans. But no, seriously, like, you guys, you really made me feel like this is more than a casual relationship that we're sharing with each other. You really made me feel like we are acquaintances at least. And that's special because for those of you who are adults, you and I both know how hard it is to make friends as an adult. So yeah, I really appreciate you being here. This has been really, really nice. You make me feel the way that Jonghyun feels around Shawols. You make me feel like I'm safe, and you make me feel like I can tell you about the hard parts. And one day maybe me and CB will discuss, the thing that happened last year, and maybe one day, we'll get to a place where I can share a little bit more stuff with you. But in the meantime, what I have shared, I felt like you guys have held close to your heart. I have felt like you have not tried to weaponize the things I've said against me. You have made me feel like I can be me here. And that has been incredibly important. And one day, we'll be able to have maybe some better times. Maybe we'll continue to have the same hard times we've been having. But yeah, I really super appreciate it. I mean it from the bottom of my heart. I'm absolutely honest. I have cried on this channel, and it's embarrassing to cry in public. And I've cried on this channel for posterity. So I really appreciate you all very, very much. And um, just for Alondra, for Angela, for Sarah, for Anthony, for uh, all the people who are regular commentators, and Meg and Katie and everyone else, Mason and Alex and Jade, for all my people, just thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so, so much. And if I had one desire for us all going into the future, I hope that we get another Perfect Velvet esque comeback from Red Velvet. I hope that Dean gives us an album before we die. I hope that Zion T will launch a comeback. And I hope that we see the fall of the House of YG. So, those are my hopes and dreams for us all. Thank you for being here. It's been really, really special, and it continues to be special. I love you all very, very much. I know Doja Cat says she doesn't love you niggas because she don't know you. Those are her words, not mine. But I actually do. I love you guys. I would be heartbroken to find out anything happened to any of you. So take care of yourselves, and I'll talk to you later. Bye. Even if you guys come to me to work, that means